Welcome to the Coachzing Show, helping you work less, earn more, and reach more people through creative content marketing. Join the Coach Zingers community, where the world's best coaches, therapists, authors, and speakers come together to discover the latest trends, forge powerful joint ventures, and grow their business together. Go to coachzing.com/community to join. And now, here's your host, Doug Foresta.
Hello and welcome back to the Coachzing Show. This is the host. This is the show where we help you, coaches, therapists, speakers, and authors to work less, earn more, and help more people through creative content marketing. And my guest today is Janna Hoiberg. And we're going to talk about, I know that most of you are speakers, authors, coaches, and when I hear from you, you want to know, of course, how to build your business, how to get out there in a bigger way. And we're going to talk about how to use a book plus speaking to really grow your reputation and build your business. So I know you get a lot out of this episode. Stay tuned. I'm going to say a little bit about Janna and bring her right on. Janna Hoiberg is a well-known speaker and award-winning executive and leadership business coach with over 30 years experience in managing and operating successful businesses. She's helped businesses with needs including increasing profits, improving systems, strengthening teams, executive leadership, and fiscal growth. She is in the business of helping people change the way they think about business. Some of her awards and certifications include Top 100 Coaches Worldwide, Business Journal Best of Colorado Springs, and the coveted ActionCOACH Award for 3 years running. She's a certified leadership coach and sales trainer, and also she is the host of Action in Business Radio on KRDO NewsRadio. So this is she's no stranger to this format. And you can visit her at jannahoiberg.com. That's JANNAHOIBERG, jannahoiberg.com, and at jannahoiberg.com, and we'll put that link on the show page. Janna Hoiberg, thank you for joining me.
Well, it's great being here.
Thank you. So, let's start with I thought a departure point to start with would be, as you were, you've obviously been very successful in your own business, and you said that for you, creating a book was a big part of that success. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And if you would have asked me 10 years ago, would I write a book, I would have looked at you and said, what have you been drinking? And I found out that I needed to do some drinking. No, I'm joking. But what I found is perhaps the idea for me was just coming up with something that I was passionate about and that really had a draw. And then from there, what's the key in marketing but creating a niche, creating something that makes you unique. So I ended up writing the book called The Family Business, How to Be in Business with People You Love Without Hating Them. And it is that book that created what is a niche for me at this point in time of family businesses and being able to help them, the family business, operate together and how to transfer from one generation to another. And that is what has helped catapult my business into another level. And then I also do speaking on that as well.
And I'm curious about whether the book also opened up speaking opportunities for you, because one of the things people always ask me about is, I've heard speaking can grow my business, but how do I even get to speak?
It's really, I've looked at the tagline, and it sounds like for a lot of your listeners as well, is really coach, author, speaker. And what happens is the book opens opportunities, and I don't always do the speaking on the family business. I'll do speaking often on leadership or time management or marketing, and I do speak on the family business. It's not that I don't do that as well, but becoming a person of influence, things along that line. And part of it is opening up the tagline so that you others can go see that that's what you do. And trust me, I did a lot of local for free speaking to get my name and reputation out there. And that's what really catapulted the speaking aspect of it.
What do you see as the biggest mistakes that the hyphen coach, author, speakers make when they first try to get out there and share content?
They are not interesting enough, they're not engaging enough, and they're too long-winded.
Can you say more about what you mean by that?
A lot of times I go and hear speakers, and they know so much about their topic that they cannot synthesize it down to action items that the audience can take and apply. So one of the things that I do with every audience, well, every becomes a big word, but most audiences, is they're challenged when I get into this to look for that one piece of information that they can take away and apply. And then I am very intentional through the presentation to make sure that there are pieces that I know that become that one piece that they can apply. If they can apply something, they remember. If they remember, then the next time somebody is needing something, my name gets attached with it and it flows from there.
That's a very good point. I can't tell you how many times that it's the problem of that we know too much, and then we know too much and we think that everybody wants to know everything that we know, but people don't really care about what we know, has been my experience. They want to know how they can use it for themselves.
And they want to know how much you care. I mean, you can go to the saying is not what you know, but you know, how much do you care about where they're at and
Right.
what they're doing from there. So a process that I really had to go through is learning the real reality is the stories. It's not what I know, it's how I'm going to apply the stories. They don't remember the topic, but they remember the story, and the story is what emphasizes that topic. And I was speaking about a year and a half ago to a large group. There's about 300 people, and was at a conference. And afterwards, I went and sat at a table, and some people that were in my session, because I wasn't the keynote, I was the session speaker. It's a very large conference, and he started telling the story. One of my stories, he started telling the story because he hadn't looked to the left because he was looking to the right. And then he realized that he was telling my story. And we had a good laugh at the table, and he made me finish the story, although I tried to get him to finish the story. But that's what you want people to do, is to remember that story and apply it, because then they're going to remember you.
That's a great, actually, that would be one of the great sort of ninja tips about what we share is use stories when you're speaking with people.
And that's a process. My guess others are still going through. I know I had to go through it because to a certain extent I had the attitude of, what do they care about what I did or what my stories are?
Right.
You know, that sounds very vain, and you can get into this, the whole perspective. And I really had to come through that and understand that if I wanted to be good and if I wanted to be successful, I had to pick the good stories. I had to figure out how to tell them. And trust me, I've not perfected all of this, but I had to make it memorable. And that's what they can go and apply.
That makes a lot of sense. I wanted to ask you too. So that actually, like I said, that's actually a great sort of ninja tip for our audience. I'm wondering if you have any other tips for people about how they can be more memorable and have more impact when they do go out and speak to the people that most need to hear what they have to say.
A lot of it depends on the audience that you have as to what you want to do. And so if you're looking at what do you want to be remembered, everything you do must be intentional. And when I first started this out, I heard people say that you've got to have the whole presentation memorized. And I sort of looked at them and said, that's never going to happen. It's not my personality. That's not who I am. But what I realized is what they really meant was you had to know what your next step was going to be. And you don't have to say the exact same words every single time, but you need to know how to engage. You need to know how to read that audience. So you've got to know your material. But not everybody is going to be a Janna, and trust me, they don't all want to be a Janna. But part of my mark is the fact that I can adapt, be flexible, and I've got a high level of energy. So that energy pervades. But that's who I am. Not everybody is going to be that way. Some people are going to be very, very technical. So how do you figure out how to do technical but do it in a funny way so it's memorable? Some people are they've got a very dry topic. So what is it that you do that you have those nuggets? So it's going back and figuring out what your identity is going to be, and then how do you present that from there?
I think that's really interesting because I have met people on both sides in terms of the point about memorizing versus not memorizing your speech. And some people have said to me, I would never get up on stage unless I had written out every single word and I knew everything I was going to say. And other people say, if I did that, I would lose my mind. So it sounds like you're saying there's not necessarily one right answer. You have to find what works for you. Is that correct?
Yeah, you've got to find what's right for you. Some people get that comfort in being able to memorize, and they're good at it. For me, I would be bored silly if I said everything the same way, because I will, depending on the size of an audience, if I got a very large audience, I won't as much. But if I have a smaller audience that I'm getting interaction with, I'll change a story based on what the audience interaction is, because I'll read that audience and be able to adjust, because for every point, I've got 3 or 4 stories, but I can't say them all. Otherwise, I'd be up there for 8 hours, and nobody wants to listen to me for 8 hours, straight. They do get to listen to me a lot of times for 8 hours, but it's never me being the only one talking. So it's really, it's a going and figuring out who you are and how you're going to engage from there. And then what happens is you build that credibility by speaking, which then feeds your coaching, because they come up and they say, gee, I really, you really hit home with that point. And here's a problem I'm running into in my business. Well, gee, let's sit together and talk about that. Or, family business. I can't get along with my dad anymore in this business. Gee, I've got a book. You want to read it? And we can sit down from there. So it opens that door that allows you to go to the next step in the way you want to.
I'm going to ask you as well one of my favorite questions to ask on the show, which is about the funniest, craziest, or most creative piece of content you've ever shared. I'm also acutely aware that you're a radio host, so I know we're talking about books and we're talking about speaking. We haven't even touched on the radio piece of it. I'm really curious if there's something that sticks out for you as a really effective piece of content and what the results of that was.
From the radio, it depends on who I'm interviewing and how well I know them. For people that I somewhat know that are within the community, one of my favorite questions that I ask that creates energy on the radio show that usually has nothing to do with our topic, but I ask them, so tell me one thing that nobody knows about you that you probably haven't wanted to share in the past, but you're willing to go share now. And I've gotten some fun answers out of that. So part of one of my trademarks is I like to have fun. On the radio, I like to have fun speaking. So what that does as well is it creates, again, a memorable moment for whoever the guest is. And they remember that, and then they start tagging it on to whatever our topic happens to be.
I love that. And I love that it has nothing to do with the topic, because sometimes we do get so focused on topic of things, and sometimes just taking it in a different direction just opens things up in ways you can never expect.
Because it allows you to, if there is a quiet or energy starts draining from the interaction you're having, it allows you to go back to that fun moment, pull it into there, and bring the energy back up as well, because you again start laughing, and laughter creates energy. It just, that whole process gets energy within the body, and you start raising it from there. So we just have a lot of fun.
That's great. I'm going to ask you a question about, I know that listeners would want to know this, and I think you're really uniquely qualified to answer this question about, if I'm somebody who my goal is to really be that coach, author, speaker that everybody talks about. I'm just starting. I don't have the book yet. I don't have anything yet. Maybe I don't even have a website yet. Where would you get started? I mean, would you finish writing the book first? Would you get out and speak? I'm curious what your advice would be for people that are just getting started.
Everybody's got to determine the community they're in and where they're at. How I got started, in all honesty, was my first 6 months of getting into this business. I went to more networking events than anybody really wants to. I was at 5 to 6 networking events a week for the first 5 months. So I built a local reputation. And that local reputation then went to, and I didn't have the author at that point in time. I was a coach. I didn't even tell anybody I was new. I just said I had 30 plus years because I'd run businesses for 30 years. And I was a coach, and as I started working with people, I would just start speaking. If there was a place and somebody says, oh, I need a speaker for this networking event, I raised my hand. So it was building my reputation first, because the reputation then created the credibility. Because unless you know what you're going to write about, when I started, I had no idea. So I created that reputation, that created the energy, that created the foundation for where a lot of stories came from. Although I'd worked with family businesses for years in my past experience, I still had not pulled everything together of what it's like to be in a family business when you're essentially living with your business partners, 24/7, and both the good, bad, and the ugly.
So that's a really great tip as well for our listeners, is get out there and go to networking events and be face to face. I know for me, I never got paid to coach a day in my life until I went to a networking event and spoke, and people started coming up to me and saying, I want to enroll in your coaching programs. And the secret is I didn't have any coaching programs. I said, oh, we'll talk next week. And I was like, well, that'll give me
and then you go and create it.
Exactly.
Absolutely. There's been more times when people said, I spoke for a small business week about a year ago, and they came to me and said, would you speak on this topic? And I looked at it and I said, oh, sure. And then after I said yes, I'm going to have to go figure out what I'm going to say on that. I have absolutely no idea. But what it's done is it became a great topic, and it became a foundation of other speaking that I now do on it, because it was a need, and it tied a whole bunch of things together. So I just look at how I don't usually, I look at, before I ever say no, I make sure that I really mean that no, and it's not going to lead to another opportunity.
And another piece that I just wanted to pull out of what you shared is a lot of times that I know that our listeners and people I talk to struggle with, well, I don't have enough content yet for my book. I don't have enough content for anything because I really haven't done a lot of this work, but I want to do this work. And so you've just shared a great idea with people as well about get out there, go to networking events, start building that local reputation. And it sounds like that also gave you the content to add better content, better stories for your speaking, for your book.
Right. Because even with the speaking, you've got to have that credibility. If I had written the book in the first year, I don't think the book would have had the meat and the content with it, and I wouldn't have had the credibility. Because it's not just a book. It's a book that's got some credibility that goes with it. Yes, my 30 years of running businesses was a foundation, but it's the real life experiences with clients and family businesses and the like, and interviewing people, because I didn't just take client experiences. I interviewed people all over the place, and it's that combination. And the reality is, when you're starting off, you got to start making some money. And a book is going to take you a year unless you're really good and really fast, and then maybe you should just be a book writer and crank books out.
Right.
It takes time, but you've got to have that combination, and you've got to be at that point for being ready for the next one. And then here's the piece I got told. The book was just out, and I was breathing that sigh of relief. It's out. It's ready. I've gotten some good reviews on it. And then somebody said, so what's your next book? And I looked at him like, what do you mean? And they said, well, you really only get momentum when you have your second book. And I looked at him and I said, oh, you've got to freaking be kidding me. I was not ready for that concept. But that challenged me again. I'm going, okay, what's my next book? And I'm now working on my second book, which has nothing to do with the family business, but it has everything to do with careers and businesses. And it's called The Backpacker's Guide to Business Success.
Oh, I love it.
I do a lot of, say that again?
I love it. I love the title.
There's a lot of similarities between hiking and backpacking and business. And I'm just equating the two of them and pulling the two of them together. And it's been a lot of fun writing, but I'm still in the same, are people really going to like this? Are they going to relate to it? So that's all the process you go through, just like our clients do.
Janna Hoiberg, you have shared such great content today. Really a lot of great stuff for people that are just starting, people that are wanting to grow their business, people in all different phases of their business. So thank you so much and for sharing your words of wisdom with us.
Well, thank you for inviting me. This was a lot of fun. It's always fun to go back and look at what you did and where you're going.
Thank you. So thanks
You have a
again,
great
everyone.
day.
Thank you. You too. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining me. Remember that nothing you hear here will make any difference in your life unless you take some action. So get out there and make it happen. Till next time, this is Doug Foresta at the Coachzing Show.
Thank you for listening to the Coachzing Show. Subscribe to us via iTunes, and please leave us a review. It helps us grow our awesome tribe. This show is brought to you by Coachzing.com's Speak to Publish book system. If your book is stuck in your head, we can help you get it out in just a dozen hours of your time. Go to Coachzing.com for more information. Have you joined the Coach Zingers community yet? You'll get exclusive access to private mastermind calls where you can get instant marketing help from industry experts. Plus, we'll help you forge deals and partnerships with other like-minded professionals. Go to Coachzing.com/community to join now.